Yay! Okay, so welcome back. We're going to go ahead and pick up where we left off. We're going to talk about the ancient Indians. So humans first began to live in the Indus Valley area, this zone of the subcontinent, 250,000 years ago. Okay, so when humans kind of first started appearing, after they moved from Africa towards Asia and India. The Indus Valley Civilization existed from 7000 BCE to 600 CE. Okay, so roughly 9,000 years ago to 2,600 years ago. Or sorry, no, 9,000 years ago to 1,400 years ago. And that's when they were invaded by Arab Muslims. Britain took control of India in the mid 1800s and kept it until India's independence in 1947, when India and Pakistan were divided into two different countries. So, ancient Indians used arithmetic operations, roots, powers of 10 up to 10 to the 53rd power, and created numbering systems that led to a number equal to 10 to the 421. So it was basically as close to infinity as we can count, as we've been able to count in the ancient world. A text called Sulba Sutras was created in 700 BCE, so roughly 2,700 years ago, and it listed the right triangle theorem and several perfect triangles. Now, this is probably where Pythagoras learned his theorem, because there was a lot of trade between ancient India and the Greeks and the Romans in Europe and stuff like that. So the ancient Indians used a decimal number system and created what are the ancestors to the nine numerals that we use today, 1 through 9. They have the earliest recorded use of a circle character for 0. From the 400s to the 1100s, India had what they call a golden age of mathematics, and they made discoveries that predate similar discoveries by Europeans who got the credit. Right now, there's like plagiarism suits and stuff going on because, you know, a lot of Indians are like, they came up with it first, so they should get the credit. So they used sine, cosine, and tangent functions to survey land, navigate the seas, and they used it in astronomy. They calculated the relative distances between the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun. They accurately calculated the circumference of the Earth, and they knew that pi is an irrational number, which was later proved in Europe in 1761. There were a few ancient Indians that were mathematicians that were famous. Brahmagupta is one of them. He was a mathematician from 2,600 years ago. He established the rules for dealing with 0, like 1 plus 0 equals 1, and 1 times 0 equals 0. And he also established the rules for negative numbers. He discovered that quadratic equations have two answers and that the answers can be negative. He also used variables in his equations, which was an early form of algebra. Now, ancient Islam was the Islamic Empire. So this was a region that was not united by race or culture or anything like that, but by religion. Islam, the Muslims. And it stretched across the Middle East, Asia, and parts of Africa from 800 CE to 1258 CE. It also existed in Spain. So much of Spain was part of the Islamic Empire fairly early on. Now, because of their positioning and trade, ancient Islam pulled together a lot of the Greek and the Indian developments and sort of brought it together into one mathematical concept. Okay, and then they were able to spread that concept across much of the developed world at the time. Like they used the Hindu numerical system, which was so the Indian numerical system, which was championed by Muhammad al-Khwarizmi in 800 CE, and al-Khwarizmi, sorry guys, Khwarizmi developed the idea of reducing and balancing equations in algebra and solved polynomial equations. Basically, he created algebra, so he's the guy to hate if you don't like your algebra class, because it's because of him that we have it. So Muhammad al-Karaji, he developed the algebraic calculus and was the first guy to prove a math result through just math, not like by drawing it or seeing an image of it or something like that. He just did math and was able to prove math based on math. He also proved what's called the binomial theorem, and that can be used to form a symmetrical triangle. But instead of al-Karaji getting credit, that credit was given to a French guy from the 1600s named Pascal. Omar Khayyam developed methods for doing fourth, fifth, and higher roots. So that's x to the fourth, x to the fifth, and higher than that. And he identified foundations for algebraic geometry. And Nazir al-Din Attusi, he separated trigonometry from astronomy and developed spherical trigonometry. So uh, basically, the study of triangles with circles, basically, or 3D spheres. Um, so people in the past are not the only people that have made influences on mathematics. One thing I want you to take away when you study over the next couple of weeks is that modern mathematics isn't just for white men. Okay, people of color, women of color are still making huge discoveries in math, even if we don't mention them or talk about them. Okay, all of these people on here, they are all famous mathematicians. Okay, all of them. So understand that it's not just for white men. Like you can be a famous mathematician if you wanted to. You know, if you were good at it and you worked hard, you could definitely be a mathematician because it's not just white guys. So I just want to leave you with that as we move into the next topics and into the next few weeks. So I hope this made sense. I hope this was interesting to you. Please go ahead and check out the next activity in the unit, and I will see you next week. Bye.